First, who are you?
I'm Tony. I'm the CEO of Zappos.
Yeah, and who are you?
I'm Graham Weston, the chairman of Rackspace.
Yeah.
And who
Face
are you?
to face.
Face to face.
The best support companies in the world, right?
Well, we certainly have enjoyed our tour through Zappos today. We've learned a lot.
Yeah. So we just took the tour, which now, how many people do the tour every day?
It really varies because sometimes there's conventions in town. So there's some days where we give 50 tours in a day, and we'll pick you guys up from we picked you up from the airport,
Yeah.
and you guys got the tour, and then we're going to drop you off after. So it's available to the public.
Very cool. And so somebody is there an address that people just write into and say, hey, I want a tour? And
Yeah, just email tours@zappos.com, and we're located right in Las Vegas.
it takes about an hour to go through the whole thing?
Yeah, it takes about an hour. I think you guys took a little longer because you wanted to spend some time with
We
some other
dallied,
departments. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great tour. What did you learn from it?
Well, I think a lot of people wonder whether all the culture thing is it sort of all on the surface, or does it really cut through the whole company? And I think it's very clear that it's for real, and it's meaningful to people. And
Yeah, it's one of those things where we've definitely had people blog about our tours or write about them in the media, but it's not really until you actually come here and take the tour that you really understand it. And it's something that I haven't figured out yet how to kind of bottle that and put that online somehow. I guess we try a little bit through our blogs. If you go to blogs.zappos.com, there's things where we'll interview random employees or show what's on their desks or so on, but it's still very different from actually being here.
Yeah, but I've toured dozens of companies, from Boeing to Target to Apple to Google, and there's nothing like this, in terms of the kind of people you meet in the hallways and the cheering and the cowbells and the peanuts on your office floor. I mean, there's just all these little things that go into making a really great culture. Where did you get the idea for doing that? For working on the culture so hard?
Well, the cool thing about our culture is, all the things you mentioned are not my ideas. I guess for me, I really view my role as just creating an environment where people feel comfortable and are encouraged to come up with whatever creative idea they have. And so, I don't know who decided we're going to have cowbells in the office, but now I hear cowbells every day. And so I think it really came from my previous experience with Link Exchange, which was a company that I started with a college roommate back in 1996, and then we grew that to about 100 or so people, and then ended up selling it off to Microsoft in '98. But what most people don't know is the reason why we ended up selling the company was because the culture just went completely downhill. I remember when it was just 5 or 10 of us, it was like your typical .com startup back in the day. We were working around the clock, had no idea what day of the week it was, but it was a lot of fun. And then we didn't pay attention to culture, hired all the people with the right skill sets or experiences, but then by the time it's 100 people, it just wasn't a fun place to work at anymore. So we wanted to make sure we didn't make that same mistake again.
Yeah. This is my first interview for what we're calling Building 43, a community of people who are fanatical about the internet. You two guys have built companies who are fanatical about service, really. And I thought I was going to come here and ask about how you use the internet, how you use Twitter, because you have how many employees on Twitter?
So in Vegas, we have about 700 employees, and about 400 of them are on Twitter.
Yeah, but since being here, I realize how important culture is to building a set of experiences inside a company that express themselves to the public. Because I saw the expression of you guys on Twitter, and I got interested in Zappos, but I didn't understand where it was coming from until I visited here. What would your advice be to other business people who are struggling to get into the internet and struggling to build a brand that grows and is vibrant?
Well, I think for regardless of whether it's for the internet or trying to build a brand, I think the most important thing for companies is to figure out early on what they want their core values to be. And we found, actually, if people ask me if I could do one thing differently again, at Zappos, what would it be, if I could do it all over again? And I wish we had come up with the core values earlier, because I think we'd be a lot further along than we are today. And a lot of companies have, they might call them core values or guiding principles or whatever, but usually they're very lofty sounding, and they kind of read like press releases, and maybe you learn about it in day one of orientation, but then it's kind of this meaningless plaque in the lobby. So we wanted to come up with a list of core values, and if you just do a Google search for Zappos core values, you can see what our 10 are. But we wanted to come up with a list that we could really commit to, and by committing to, meaning we hire for them and we're willing to fire for them. So even if someone's doing their job function perfectly fine, if they're not living up to the core values, we will fire them.
Yeah. I like the last one, which was be humble. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that and why you focus on that.
Well, it's interesting because that's actually that's probably the core value that trips us up most in the interview process. Like we've come across a lot of really talented people that we know can make an immediate impact on our top or bottom line, but if they're not, if they're really egotistical, it's very simple, we just won't hire them. Whereas I think at most companies, the conversation would kind of be like, well, this person is going to add a lot of value, but he's probably going to rub you the wrong way and be annoying at times, but we should hire him anyways because he's going to add a lot of value. And I think that's how company cultures, that one hire isn't going to bring the culture downhill, but you make compromises like that over and over again. That's, I think, why most large companies don't have great cultures. In terms of that value specifically, what I've generally found is people that are really egotistical are, may have a lot of domain knowledge, but it also translates into being less open-minded. So when new opportunities present themselves that may not be obvious based on your previous expertise, that those types of people aren't as open to new ideas.
How do you interview and find that in people? How do you know that somebody's an egotistical jerk? I sense it, right, when I'm around somebody like that.
Yeah, I think that it's actually probably one of the easier of the 10 core values we have to just sense. I mean, you can usually tell within the first 5 minutes of meeting someone, even if you're not interviewing them.
The trouble is sometimes those people have a lot of charisma, right? I mean, it's often there's charisma, you like them, or they're I actually think it's sometimes very hard to see through the glare. But you're right. The people who have a lot of focus on themselves find it very hard to sense their surroundings, and sometimes that results in people being abusive, and sometimes it's just peaceably being blind to what's happening. It's a dangerous thing. I agree.
Yeah, or if you ask them about their accomplishments at their previous, I mean, just count the number of times they use I, my, or me compared to we, or us, or our, and I mean, that's probably the easiest way.
How does Rackspace's core values match up with Zappos's core values?
Amazingly closely, actually. Deliver wow through service. Our first one is be fanatical on all you do. Fanatical support is our mantra. Second is embrace and deliver change. Ours is embrace change for excellence. The same, basically. Create fun and a little weirdness. Ours is be passionate about your work. Passionate. The third is be adventurous, creative, and open-minded. I don't know that we have one quite perfect, right on with that one. Pursue growth and learning. I don't know if we have one quite close there, but build open and honest relationships. Ours is friends and family. Focus on friends. Treat Rackers like friends and family. Build a positive team and family spirit. We have the friends and family one. Do more with less. Ours is substance over flash. We felt that we had a natural advantage over those Silicon Valley companies that were.
Do I work for them?
Well, we just felt like we have a common investor. Sequoia Capital is a common investor, and we felt like there were our experience of the Valley was a lot of flash over substance, and it didn't match our values, and also we felt as though. Deliberately not pursuing things that were for effect or for flash really was a good way to run the business, because in the end your customers don't care about the flash, they care about the substance. Be passionate, determined, same thing, and be humble. That's bad news first, no surprises. So it's really very similar, very, very similar, and all played down low-key, that is all not flashy. And I think it's interesting that we've both about the same age. We're just over 10 years old, had the same early investors, and have also had amazing growth over those years.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think we're both service focused, and I think that we're highly differentiated businesses within commoditized spaces. I mean, the thing that we heard over and over from investors and analysts and pundits in the early days was, number one, you can't differentiate around service, and you can't make people want to, this price is all that reigns, okay? And the second one was that you can't sustain it over time. And I think both of our companies are proof that can happen. But it's also proof, I think it's also very hard. I think there are a lot of forces of gravity that pull us the other direction, and we have to keep service and engagement of our people front and center.
Yeah. Both of you are dissatisfied with advertising. I know Zappos does you do TV ads, but you don't do very many. And certainly up to this point in your history, you've done mostly word of mouth kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we do like we'll buy ads on or keyword buys on Google, and we have an affiliate program. And so what we found is, with a little bit of offline advertising, whether it's TV ads or magazine ads, that actually increases the ROI of our online. So that's why we do it. But most of the money that we would have otherwise spent on paid advertising goes into the customer experience, and then whether it's the free shipping both ways, surprise upgrades to overnight shipping, or staffing our call center 24/7 or our warehouse 24/7, those are all very expensive. But our philosophy is put it into the customer experience and then let our customers do the marketing for us through word of mouth. And so we've grown from basically no sales in '99 to last year, 2008, we just surpassed $1 billion in gross merchandise sales, and the number one driver of that growth has been through repeat customers and word of mouth.
Yeah, Fred Reichheld is on our board of directors. We just went public 9 months ago, and we pursued Fred Reichheld for many years, and he finally joined our board. Thankfully, he's the inventor of the Net Promoter Score, and which is, I think, a school of thought that we both share. And what Fred says is that the mission of a business is to create promoters. The job as a business. The business's mission is to create customers who want to tell their friends about you. Because when you do that, not only does it make the customers you have more loyal because they have a better experience, but it also means that all those people out there all your customers become salespeople for your business. And really, that allows customers to discover you in a way that doesn't involve paid advertising. That reduces your marketing costs and your sales costs. It also, I also believe that it drives a higher quality of customer. There's a self-selection process that happens when that happens. And I had a bad service experience with AT&T just over the weekend, and I tweeted about it relentlessly. And it really struck me that AT&T doesn't really believe in service, but they believe in $1 billion of advertising. I think companies have different beliefs, and I think that both of our businesses have seen the payoff and the benefits of a business that's there to create happy customers.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very unusual strategy, and there's something about standard business training that leads you away from
Well, I think it's actually, because I get asked a lot, why don't more companies pay attention? Like, everyone knows customer service is important. Everyone knows company culture is good to have. Happy employees are more productive employees. And it's not like anyone goes out there thinking, oh, I want to be part of a company that has bad culture.
Yeah.
So the question is, why don't more companies focus on customer service or company culture? And I think it's because the payoff when you make investments in either of those is usually 2 or 3 years down the line.
Yep.
And so if you need to show better profitability, whether it's this quarter or this year, like if that was your only goal, the correct thing would be focus more on advertising and less on service. And I think a lot of companies out there, that's kind of their time frame for thinking about how to maximize things. Like, if our only goal at Zappos was to maximize profits for 2009 and we didn't care about anything else, the right thing to do would be to shut down our call center and stop answering the phones and fire everyone there. And I don't think that would actually affect our top line at all in 2009, but we'd start feeling it 2 or 3 years down the line.
Yep. Even good companies, like I have a brand new Toyota, it died the first week I had it. And it's interesting because from that point on, the service I got told me a lot about the company. What happens when somebody has bad experience at Zappos?
Well, ideally, we have to hear about it first. And so, we're very thankful and grateful for the customers that do take the time to email us or call us. And so for those, we basically bend over backwards to fix, not only correct the situation, but we want the customer to walk away feeling like, wow, that was like, I'm almost glad that whatever, maybe it was shipped to the wrong address. I'm almost glad that happened because so many great things came as a result of that. And it's interesting because we actually have found, and actually I don't think this is just us, but generally customers that have a bad experience but that gets fixed in a way they're happy with and in a timely way are actually more loyal than customers that never had a problem in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting bit of human psychology. No,
it's true because that's where we learn whether you really are a service-oriented company throughout the organization. Because I had my problem on a Sunday, and the service department was closed, the call center was closed, and the 2 dealers had no clue what to do for me. And that told me that, no, this Toyota is really having trouble delivering their service promise down to the lowest level, where I keep hearing stories about Zappos, like, you guys will order pizza. Tell me some of the stories that you've heard from the front lines.
Oh, we've heard all sorts of stories, and there was one time when a customer had returned a wallet to us, and what she didn't realize was that she had left the money inside the wallet. It was like $150, and so our warehouse worker, processed it, and but she didn't realize that we had her money. She had 2 kids and thought one of them had stolen the money, so was trying to get one of them to fess up, and then received a letter in the mail a couple days later from the warehouse worker that had processed the return, and it said, thanks for your return, and you noticed you left this $150 in here, thought you might want it back, so here it is. And so she called us afterwards and told us that she was just so impressed and amazed that a warehouse worker who's not making a lot of money, where $150 is significant, and could have easily pocketed the money, like went through all this trouble to return the money to her. And I think for us that just goes back to making sure that no matter what your position is in the company, we still hire for the core values, and we still make sure that everyone understands our vision of being about the very best customer service. And like you said, it needs to happen at all levels of the organization. It can't just be the marketing department or the customer service department or the CEO. It needs to be the entire company.
We've also found, we have a concept that we call, that we say that people are volunteers, that everyone who comes to work at Rackspace is really a volunteer, and the person who sent that $150 back volunteered to forego whatever reward they would have otherwise had to say, I'm going to do the right thing and send it back. And that really doesn't happen through bonuses. It doesn't happen through fancy compensation plans. It doesn't happen through bosses yelling orders. It really happens because someone wants to. They want to strive for greatness that day and to say, look, I'm going to do the right thing for this customer. And that, while no one's watching, they may never be rewarded for it. It may just be sent off and never hear from the customer. So when you do get an affirmation back from the customer, it's fantastic. But ultimately, there are 100 times that our rackers do something good for every one time that they're actually recognized for it. And I think it's very important that you create that we create a culture that wants to bring that out, that brings it out of people.
Yeah, and going back to the examples you gave, I forgot what they were. Was it like getting some like a fancy compensation plan, or your boss yelling at you? I forgot what the third example was. Getting well, But anyways, the examples you gave were basically all examples of different possible ways you can motivate an employee, when really, if employees believe in your long-term vision for the company, that's really more about inspiring employees, and you can just accomplish so much more through inspiration than motivation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One of the reasons I'm doing this Building 43 thing is I keep looking at business websites, what people are putting out in public. And a lot of businesses still don't have websites. It'd be interesting to see what you think about that. And a lot of them have websites that look like they were designed in 1994. Very static, no people on them, no interactivity. Doesn't look like Twitter or Facebook. It doesn't have that interactivity, that liveness to it, the humanity to it. What are your thoughts on what a modern website should be, since you've been in the internet business for a while?
Yeah, well, I mean, we actually get a lot of comments from customers that our website is not modern enough, so I may not be the best
Well, you're
person to
redesigning it. I
ask,
saw some of the prototypes.
Well, I think, I mean, ultimately the website should just be a reflection of the company's personality. And so for us, for example, we've put a lot of the cool things about our website are actually not immediately obvious when you first come visit it, but it's more designed for our loyal users who, we want them to really get both our personality and also make it easy for them to buy clothes or shoes on our site. And so some of the functionality which may seem like, oh, this is just an extra button here that's not really all that useful, is actually very useful for someone that likes to browse a lot on our site for the products that we sell. And then we also put in little things like there's a page where there's just a very subtle link at the bottom in the footer that says "Don't ever click here," and if you click on it, you get rickrolled. And so that's just something just to entertain. And then our customers,
how many people click on that?
I don't know, but we get emails and phone calls every day from customers, and we read about it on Twitter. And it's not something we publicize, and it's probably not something you'll discover unless you're actually a loyal Zappos customer on our site every day. And one day you're just bored and click on that. So there's things like that we put in that are not immediately obvious to someone that's just coming to our site for the first time.
Do you have any thoughts on what that? Rackspace isn't a great looking website either, but you told me a couple stories because we were talking about photography that people use, and
well, one of my pet peeves is using stock photography. When you have fake people on a website, they look fake and they're clearly not your people, and so I hate having fake people on a website, because the whole point is you're trying to communicate these are our people. So that's just a pet peeve.
So all the pictures of people, they look sort of stockish, but they're all people who work at Rackspace.
Well, we need to get a photographer who's not quite as good then. No, they'd better all work at Rackspace, and any ones that are on there that aren't, we need to take them down. I mean, I think that the natural thing is that doing a live photo shoot takes more time and it costs more money. But I think that if a company's real, it should have real people on it, and even if they're lower quality photographs. But I mean, that's just a small point. I think a website needs to be able to help people, and not just push marketing messages or prices or specials. It needs to be able to help people, and we can certainly do a lot better job of that. But there's a lot of confusion out there, and people who are shopping, customers who are going from site to site, are really looking to discover something on your website that they don't know already. And there's such an opportunity to educate, to inform, and to create a friend out of strangers. And that opportunity is there for every single business. The trouble is it's hard. It's one of those things that you can't abdicate the design to an ad agency and just hope it's all going to turn out great. Yeah. Unfortunately.
What's next for Zappos?
For us, most people know us for shoes, and so we're making a big push into clothing this year and getting that message out. I think a lot of people are surprised that when they actually do look in the clothing section on our site, that we have a pretty big selection of clothing.
You do.
We're basically going through the same thing we did for shoes. Like once people try buying clothing from us once, then they're kind of hooked and they tell their friends about us.
Is there a secret sauce to Zappos that doesn't get explained on the tour? I found one question, so I know there's at least one piece of secret sauce that people were like. I was asking how they.
No, but what was the secret sauce?
I was asking a question about how you pick all your Google AdWords and AdSense keywords.
Oh.
And they were.
We can't talk about that.
Yeah, we can't.
Well, I can't talk about it because I have no idea. But yeah, I have no idea.
But other than that, it's an open book. You have your finance numbers right on the hallway here,
Yeah.
and you let everybody Twitter about it and take pictures of it.
Yeah, we try to be as one of our core values is to be open and honest, so we try to be as transparent as possible.
Okay, very cool. Do you have anything else?
Tony, thank you for hosting us and for spending so much time with the Rackers that have come. And you're a B2C company, a company that sells to consumers. We sell to businesses, but there's so many parallels in our spirit, in our aspirations. It's really great to come see you in person.
Yeah, glad you were able to make it. And for all the viewers, email tours@zappos.com next time you're planning a trip to Vegas.
And you're on Twitter at Zappos, twitter.com/Zappos and Zappos. And
yep.
You're all over the place. Thank you
Great,
so
thank
much.
you.
This was really great.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.